Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. You are now tuning in to episode 60 of the Off the Menu podcast. I am your friend, your host, Key, here with my brothers, my co-host, Moose.
Hello.
And Tay.
Hello, everyone.
And a special guest, a very special guest.
Oh, yeah.
I am happy to introduce to you DJ Erockalypze, father, husband, DJ, performer, go-getter, big stepper, going crazy. Excited for this one, you guys.
The finger taps?
Yeah, you got him.
Wow.
Boom.
I'm excited, man.
Episode 60, baby.
This is the man.
Top 5 intro ever.
Thank you.
Ever. All time.
Thank you.
He's good at those.
All time.
But man of the city, we finally got him here. That's how I would put it, though. Every night, 9 a.m., every 5 p.m., that's all I heard every day.
Yeah.
And I think that was for about 10 years. It was going on.
It was a long run.
As long as I was able to drive for.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was just like, you know, when we started getting into this stuff, it was just like, you are pretty much, I know you through relationships of other people. Yeah. Bo is my cousin, Peter's, we're mutual friends to them. And I've always known and heard great things about you. Yeah. So I appreciate that you gave us the time here and Off the Menu to sit down with you.
Man, all the feels right away.
Right away.
Out the gate.
We like to give you your flowers right away.
Right away. Before Spotify, before Apple Music, before YouTube Red.
That's right.
It was DJ Erockalypze, man.
Let him know. Let him know.
True that.
Yo, you know what corroborates that story? The fact that I got that gig because they found me on MySpace.
See?
Really?
Tell him, man.
So there you go. Glitter graphics and all.
That was so crazy because we were talking about MySpace
Just
before
barely.
the show.
Right before you walked in, we're talking about MySpace designs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we started mocking things up in our head and like, let's put something together.
Yeah.
So my generation, we learned about HTML because of MySpace.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like no one gave a fuck about that.
Yeah. You used to go to those websites, you just copy over the code, you paste it in your shit.
You can get animated.
You got an Iron Man theme now. Boom.
That was wild.
Going
They were like
crazy.
the Android, right? On social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Open source and all. No, thank you guys so much for
Sure is
having
hard,
me.
man.
I'm super honored to be here. I know we all know mutual people, so it feels like family already, even though, full disclosure, right? This is like the first time we're all really meeting.
Yes, correct.
Right.
In real life. So, yeah, I'm just happy to be here, and thank you for bringing me into your space.
Yeah.
We are honored to have you.
We are so honored.
Yeah. Especially in Utah, I'm born and raised here, so you are like the voice that we know, especially during that time, like driving in your car in the summertime.
That's
or
crazy.
driving to school and then driving back home from school. It's
U92, where hip hop lives.
That shit still blows my mind.
roll out.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
He's like flashbacks right now. Hold on.
Yeah, a little PTSD, but mostly flashback. Good flashbacks. No, I'm just kidding.
Man.
Thank you guys so much. That means the world to me. You know, like I, it still like kind of like freaks me out in a way when people like say things like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I never thought like long before that was going to be my trajectory at all.
Of course.
Like I was like had to drop out early, had a kid young, left home, you know, like was just trying to like figure it out, working 2-3 jobs, trying to hustle like everybody, right? Even today. And I never thought that like I could say that like I was gonna like make a living or make money off of DJing. DJing was just a love, like a passion for me. Just like most of the real ones, right? So like, yeah, that means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Before I forget, we got IT technical support in the back. Seafood
Let's go.
ain't going. Hold on. Going.
I was so
Crazy.
Yeah.
He didn't have it. He had the sound on.
The sound
He had the sound off and he clicked it. Are you nervous, sir?
Damn, my bad. We around royalty
Post-production.
right now, man.
We're gonna add it post. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh man. Well, let's go ahead and get to the episode. This is once again episode 60 of the Off the Menu podcast with DJ Erockalypze.
Episode 60, man, going crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is, and once again, it just goes like every episode we have, it just gets better and better. You know, we've had a lot of amazing guests here, and the sit down with someone that we all knew mutually through one thing, you know, and to finally sit down with you and just be able to talk about stuff that you do and that you love and what are you doing now, you know, just get updated.
Right.
All right.
Let's go ahead. Let's open the question for those of you that are too young. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah. So some people know me as DJ Erockalypze. I've been DJing since I was like 14 years old, obviously not professionally since then. But that's when I got like the itch and, you know, I was able to get like, you know, a high school job so I can afford to buy those things slowly. Like he said, I'm a father and a husband, girl dad of 3.
Going crazy. Tell
girl
him.
dad.
Yep.
Tell him.
Two in college. One is 6 years old. Yeah. And, you know, I was thinking about tonight, right? Leading up to this. And I knew you were going to ask some kind of question like that. And I feel like it all has to do with storytelling.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think that's really what makes up a big part of me. You know, those other things like DJ, I've produced shows. You know, I love content creation. I just love photography, videography.
Yeah. You're going crazy with that,
art.
by the way.
I love food. You know, there's a lot of things that make up who I am, but like, it's interesting because that's the one thing I can say connects it all.
Yeah.
Because, like, why do you guys love music? The stories, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? It's people telling their story, whether it's fantasy or not, right? It doesn't really
Right.
matter. Like,
Absolutely.
So that's what like DJing is to me, right? I love to like tell stories through the turntables. I love to create routines that tell stories. I love to retell those stories through DJing, right? That I've experienced before, like that Mac Miller tribute I did
Right.
a month or 2 ago. And but yeah, it's all about stories, man. That's it. I think that's what makes up a big part of me.
Man, I love that.
Yeah. It's absolutely
Because
true.
every time you think about music or anything like in entertainment wise, it's all as you get older, it's just a nostalgic feeling, right? It's just hearing what people have said to you before. Everything that anyone's ever said, you can learn from too. Like,
Right.
you know, me and Bo have been talking a lot lately about some stuff, and he always brings up this story where I was like, man, I was like 4 years old. We were in the car, and he just like, yo, they threw on a CD, and then you started seeing No Diggity, and I was like, man, this is the illest shit ever. Like,
Right.
who's this kid singing this song right now? He don't know what these guys are saying, but it goes back to not even someone telling a story, but having stories shared of a memory, right, through music. And so when you talk about like how it goes back to being a story, I'm just thinking right now, it's like, damn, it's true, because I go back to any time, man, I could tell you I was like in 8th grade, I was singing Mariah Carey, We Belong Together, vacuuming my floor before my dad came home and yelled at me, and my friend's recording me, and he puts it on YouTube, and it got like 500,000 likes. And this is like 2008.
Wow.
Yeah.
500,000?
Yeah.
2008?
Yeah.
YouTube?
Yes.
Going
fucking
crazy.
wild.
And I'm just sitting there singing. It was like 30-second clip, and I was singing it, and then he like got removed like 6 months later.
Yeah. Going crazy with it. That's crazy, man. Before we get too far ahead, were you born here in Utah? And if not, where are you from and why Utah?
Okay. So I was actually born in the Bay Area, California,
Okay.
like most Filipinos. Just kidding. That's racist. Sorry.
It's not racist.
Sort
Are
of.
you a Golden State fan too?
Sort of. What's that?
You a Golden State Warrior fan too?
I cannot answer that right now. Because I have relationships with certain teams.
That's the real test right there. That's the real test.
But yes, growing up, yes, I the most exciting player in my generation was like Chris Mullin, which everyone's like, who's that? So yeah, it was hard being a Golden State fan, but yeah, of course. Yeah. I was born in Castro Valley, California, technically, but I grew up mostly in like Concord area. That's where I went to most of my schooling was there. And then, like I said before we started, I left home early, 17, left senior year, dropped out, got my GED, ended up moving across the country I ended up in Maryland first.
Wow.
That was like the aunt and uncle of my first wife, and the mother of my 2 older daughters. She was from kind of that DMV area. So that was like the place that would like take us in and like help us figure out what we were going to do at that point. So I lived there for a little bit. Then we lived in Northern Virginia for a little bit, kind of near DC. And then life just kind of took us to Utah randomly because her sister was going to, it was called UVSC at the time. And she knew that like her mom and her sister like didn't really get along. So they were like, she was like, why don't you just come move out here in Utah? It's like cheap to live out here. This was 2003. Okay? It ain't cheap anymore. If you're watching and you're out of state, don't come here.
I was curious too. I was like, cheap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Back then, you know how much our split level apartment was? $550.
Don't say
God,
split level.
Yeah, split level.
Oh,
yeah.
I want to punch myself.
I was in Orem, so I was punching myself. But and I didn't know I didn't know geographically Utah yet. Right. So I was just like, okay, cool. We were young, like I was working at Target at the time. So they were like, okay, cool. You could transfer to the one in Orem. And so I did that, and then we had our second kid out there in Orem. Shout out Kira.
Shout out Kira one time going crazy.
Yeah, Kira's wild. She's like my clone. She's wild. And then I haven't left Utah since 2003. So technically, I've been here longer than anywhere else. So
good.
I am a Utahn now.
Good.
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 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Was there like a specific element of Utah that you just enjoyed that made you want to stay?
I don't know if necessarily like I could say that right away. I think I had to grow into that, because like I told you, like I didn't even know where I had moved.
Yeah.
All I knew was like, obviously the demographics were real different, but that was true for every state I lived in.
Right.
Like California was so different than Maryland, and Maryland was so different than Virginia, and then Virginia is super different than Utah.
Yeah.
And so, I think it was just like life experiences that kept me here. And then, it was also like my passions that turned into my like job, that it all happened here. So I just think more and more I had reasons to stay and like was planting roots, whether I knew it or not,
Right. We know you from U92, and you had a really long time.
17 years?
Going crazy.
16 years, 17 years. Yeah.
When did that start, and how did that start? How did you get to that point?
Yeah, so I can never remember if it's 2005 or 2006, but somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Because I remember, it was like I had lived in Utah for a couple of years before I could even like buy back turntables. Right. So when I had moved to the East Coast, I still had my turntables from that I had in high school and a crate of records. And then, when we were moving to Utah, we needed more money, right, to like furnish the place. So I actually sold my decks, but I kept my records. And it wasn't for like a couple of years after that, then, our situation got better a little financially. And then I was able to get my decks back. And so when I got those back, that's when like Serato had just come out.
Going crazy.
So then I was like, I got to buy this, because now I don't got to like carry 500 records on 2 camels, like to go out, with my stuff. And like, I just embraced the technology. Anyways, so the reason why I say that is because if that moment didn't happen, then the next steps to get to there wouldn't have happened, because at that point, then MySpace was popping.
Yeah. Tell them.
Aging. And everyone's doing math now really quickly. MySpace. 21? So, I would put up like some edits I would make, like maybe little like fun, like, mini mixes, up on there. Because you could, like, you can go crazy with HTML, put in extra stuff.
Going crazy.
Everybody had their songs on their MySpace.
Yeah.
I missed that.
So I'll speed up the story. Sorry, I'm real long.
No, you're fine. Let us know the story.
Keep going.
I I got found on MySpace to enter a DJ battle. That was U92 was putting on at the time, and it was like a sponsored by Pepsi thing. It was like become a Pepsi All-Star mixer.
Oh, that's
right?
the making a DJ contest.
That's right. And they were like, okay, we want you to be one of 4 DJs to enter this thing. So each one of you will go on the air for like 30 minutes and like in the middle of the night, of course, you know, like past 9 p.m. I want to say it was like 9:30 or something like that. And they were like, each one gets a night. And then on the Friday, we're going to like throw an event outside the station for an hour. Then you guys will do like a quick little set each.
Going crazy.
And then like they're going to watch the crowd reaction. And then we're going to pick a winner to get a job.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Honestly,
That's
the
so
whole
hard.
time you're talking about, I was like, it's like a Step Up movie.
It was literally that.
No, it felt like that, bro.
Yeah.
Did you have like a rival during?
So it was funny, right? Because like I had mentioned earlier, like it was really just like a love and a passion thing. I didn't really know many people out here.
Right.
I was working, you know, in red and khaki, you know what I mean, in retail. So like my crowd that showed up to support me were like in red and khaki with like Target. I'm not kidding you. Like they all came right like during work or after work to support me at this thing, right? Every other DJ had like an entourage, you know, the homies were there, you know. One of them was from like Vegas, you know. And I ended up winning the contest, which was crazy. I didn't think I was going to win it. I was just, I swear to you, I was just excited to meet other DJs.
Right.
I was super excited to like meet these on-air DJs that I would hear on the radio, you know, and once again, I'd already lived in Utah for a couple of years, right? So I was a fan of these guys,
Right. Yeah.
you know, and so yeah, they raised my hand at that thing and told me I won. And what's really funny about that story actually is like a year later, right? They told me actually I wasn't supposed to win it. They thought I was just going to be some fill-in, you know what I mean? Because they kind of had like a lot of the DJs at the time had someone in mind that they had put in. But they were like, when you went on and like, we were like, what? Like, we got to hire this guy. Like all that went out the window. And I guess the guy got mad, but then they hired him later.
That's crazy. They gaslit you, bro.
They gaslit you.
They were preparing for their DJ rival movie coming out in 2 years, actually, a Utah-based movie.
He beat me. That's right.
That's what it's called, beat me.
That's right.
Beat me. That's so crazy.
But yeah, and so that, you know, I didn't even know what that meant. Right. So then I find out what that meant, right? Like the next Monday. And they're like, well, technically you're not a real employee. You're like an independent contractor, you know, so, you know, we'll, you know, fill out this form and then you can, you know, start by doing remotes, which in radio, that means like when they pop up and broadcast live for a couple hours, a lot of times, you know, you'll hear like, you know, they're at a dealership. So I was that DJ trying to pick those up as much as I could.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you get like a little fee, but it was like nothing. Like it was like not worth even the gas money, right? So it was like, but for a good, I would say 9 months, I was like that guy that always said yes. And I gotta shout out like the people I worked with at that Target because like they were super cool with it. Like because like I told you, they were there.
Right.
They saw it happen. They knew that like, oh, he has kids, you know, and so like he has to have a job, and obviously that's not a full-time job. But they were super flexible with me. Like they were like, go, come back, you know?
Right.
So
That's sick.
I got to like show them from the beginning through that 9 months, I'm the guy that always says yes.
Right.
I'm the guy that you could depend on.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's not going to act like this sucks.
Right.
Because it did kind of suck. You know what I mean? But I knew it was like a shot. You know, and who knows where that could go.
Right.
And then that went from that to then the program director at the time approached me at one of those remotes at a dealership, actually. And he comes up to me, he's like, hey, man, I hear you're super dependable. He was like, I've been, you know, kind of listening to you at these things. I'll pop up and listen to you, you know. And he was like, would you want to do the first ever like primetime mix show?
Oh,
On
damn.
U92
That's
ever.
so hard.
Yeah, drive time mix show in the afternoon. And I said, say less.
Yeah.
Except for I didn't know say less. But it was basically the same thing. And yeah, that's how it all started. And once again, for like the first maybe 5-6 years, I was still just like, I would just log an hour here and there.
Yeah.
It was not like majorly lucrative in any way. There was no benefits, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that lasted through 2 ownerships
Wow.
of the company.
Oh wow.
Until right before the 3rd, that's when I worked my way into a full-time programming position and then worked my way into brand manager, and
That's
the rest
crazy.
was history. Yeah.
That is wild.
You saw it all. You really
And-
saw it
Yeah.
all.
Well, and I worked a lot of like different jobs within that space
Right.
because
Mhm.
I kind of skipped over that, but it was like,
Yeah.
you know, I got thrown into afternoons for the first time one time, like as like a host, like for 4 or 5 years of that, I just DJ'd. I didn't even go on the mic
Mhm.
at all. I had no voice. And then it wasn't until that kind of full-time gig. And then they they out of the blue fired the afternoon guy one day. And they were like, okay, it's you now. And so, yeah, like that first year was rough. I hope people do not have recordings of that.
Let's go back.
That
We'll
is
clip
straight
it.
up embarrassing.
No, that's
Yeah.
crazy to hear because the fact that it spanned over the first 9 months where you're just doing gig to gig, and then
Right.
years leading up until you get to actually talk on the mic.
That's right.
Because for us, we just grew up feeling like you were the guy.
Right.
Second, because we would hear about that competition, how you won. And also to add to that, you didn't know anybody in the city, which is also a crazy
Right.
thing. And then
Exactly.
to hear you say that it took so long and such a grind, I didn't know. I'm
Right.
sure a lot of the kids that listen to that radio show, we had no idea. We're
No.
just like, oh, E-Rock was the guy. He won the freaking step up competition for DJs, man. Like
Beat up.
beat up. Yeah.
I like the story because you talk about red shirts and khakis, and now it's not khakis anymore. So that kind of puts the age out there. Is that
Oh, wow, it's not,
no,
is
it's
it?
not.
People just wear what they want.
Yeah, that's
man.
like they wear whatever pants they want. But
That's
if
true.
you guys
That's
knew,
nice of
Target
them.
did wear khakis up until I think almost like 2019.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that
so-
dude got famous.
Yeah,
What's that dude?
Jake from State
Jake
Farm.
from-
Yeah. you dress like him right now.
Chill out. Yo, you go to Target after this?
Mind your business, man. I start at 10, man.
Yo, he throws boxes over that. Leave him alone. Leave him alone, bro.
we don't
No,
get paid
no.
for this. He has to work a Target
Multiple
job.
sources of income, right? You had a guest like that, right?
In the same spot you are.
Damn.
You were back then, man.
He's just yeah.
I shot myself in the foot. My bad. Damn.
They're hardworking men over there.
Hey, I ain't hating the grind. It's not below me. I'm ready.
I think though, like to like explain also why people, to your point, like maybe don't know those things, is like the truth is like I'm really more of an introvert and like shy.
Yeah.
I had to learn
Same.
to become that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And even then, it's like something I know how to turn on, but really I'm not at like an attention, look at me,
Yeah.
shouty person.
Yeah.
That's why even like when I was on there, I wasn't like, you know, most of the DJs of the era who were like real shouty, you know. And no offense, it's just like that's cool, that's your style, but like, nah, I'm way more shy than like I think people realize.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
That's funny. Oh my gosh, because we just had the same conversation at
Yeah,
dinner
last
last week, and they were like, "Would you consider yourself an introvert and or extrovert?" And I was like, "Honestly, what you guys see is an extrovert, but I'm an introvert at heart. Like I want to stay in. I don't want to do
feel the
anything.
same
I don't want
way.
to.
That's all of
But
us.
I will
Yeah.
turn it on. I will go and talk to
Yeah.
people. I will go.
But I
build
think that's how
connections.
like creative minds are wired.
Yes.
Let's be
Exactly.
real.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah,
Right.
we love our independence. I think as
Mhm.
creatives, any creatives that are out there, they love their independence. They love working in solitude. But then when they can turn it on whenever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gotta have the door closed when I'm working on something. And the lights all off.
Batman. This,
Batman. All
This
day,
is our
baby.
neighborhood Batman, Moose Wayne.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Spread the word.
crazy.
Love
Spread. Well, you know what? You don't want people to spread the word. That's how people are gonna find you.
Follow me on IG, and that's it.
Moose.Wayne95 at Instagram. There you
Thank
go.
you. Thank you. Damn, you
I have
do
to-
that shit.
I have to memorize it because I have to post you every Wednesday and Sunday. And yours is the hardest one because you changed your name, so it doesn't actually bring you up the first
Tell 'em.
time. I actually have to type in Moose.Wayne95 to pull you fully up.
I know that's hard when people change.
Yeah.
Dude, I
That's
changed
so
like
true.
2 times a year. Yeah, because it's like I'm this guy now.
I don't think I've changed since like 20.
Oh,
since
dude.
Instagram started.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been undefeated Tay.
Yeah.
Been
my
the
whole
same
life.
too.
Nice work.
For a minute. I want to go back a little bit. I wanted to ask you, what was your introduction to DJing, and where did that love for music come from? You know, at 14,
Yeah.
you know, what was going on during that time where you're like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like,
You know
this
what?
is
So
fun.
I have a few answers for that. I think first part is the area I lived in. DJ culture is just part of the culture.
Of course.
Even in the 80s and the 90s, you know, I had the luxury of, you know, being a kid with a boombox and hearing these dope ass DJs that looked like me, literally, you know, be on the air mixing vinyl, you know, doing like creative shows in the middle of the day on the radio. And then you'd go to like your big sister's high school, whatever, jump off.
Right.
And one of those DJs would be playing in that, you know, GQ contest or whatever they're throwing, you know, at the school. And then you know, there was a plethora of, you know, music shops back then, especially in my era. So whether you went to Tower Records or Amoeba or Rasputin, whatever it was, you could also find their mixtapes there, and they would sell them, you know, like, and so I think it was always around. So, and I also grew up in like a musical household. So my mom like ran a performing arts studio for singing and dancing.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
And so I took to like the sound stuff, like the sound engineering part when I was young. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was like cool in the garage that we had that stuff. So like I wanted to learn how to plug that stuff in and control it.
That's hard.
So that's also a part of it. And then it was just being influenced by all of that, and then seeing the, you know, some of those legends, right, in turntablism, which a lot of people who love DJ culture understand that there was really like a golden era. Just like in hip hop, there was a golden era of like turntablism. And that was like when I was like, you know, it was like 19, like the early 90s. So I was pretty young at the time, but you know, I was into hip hop. I was in all that, right, and seeing it. And so I would buy those like aging myself VHS tapes of
Not that
the
old,
world, the
man.
DMC World. I'm just playing DMC World Championship. You know, VHS tapes. I would buy them, and I would just be like blown away by seeing like once again like these men and women just crushing it and playing these things as instruments. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it wasn't until I was about 14 and a half that I could get like, you know, a part-time job outside of school. And then even in the summer, I got like a sound engineering like gig at the county fair, which they actually ran for like 2 months in the summer. It was not like a one weekend
That's
thing.
crazy.
Yeah. It was like every weekend it was that county fair was open. And so they had multiple stages. And so I started like the first year when I was 14 at like the small little dinky stage, you know.
Nice.
And then when I was 15, I got to go to the bigger stage.
You're
and run
working
it.
your way up.
Yeah. Like instead of just running microphones, I got to run the board, you know.
Right.
So
That's the coolest job.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
hard job.
and so I saved up all those pennies, you know, and bought my first turntable and a mixer. And then I would practice with just that and like the home stereo CD player, right? As like the second deck, just to learn how to beat match and mix things. And then, you know, by like, I was almost 16, I got my second turntable. So I had a full setup, you know, and then just slowly but surely buying records as I could with that money. And yeah, that was it.
Man,
I got
I'm
the
sure,
bug and
like,
that was it.
When all of those things started to click, when all the things started making sense and sounding right, ooh, I bet that shit is like,
I know.
oh, fuck.
And it was different back then because it was
Yeah.
all analog. Right?
Yeah.
So
And there was no YouTube, right?
Right,
So,
exactly.
like, I wish that existed, right? Because it would have accelerated my
Oh, of
growth so
course.
much
Yeah.
faster.
Most definitely.
And that's why you can even, you know, go on TikTok and see 5-year-old turntablists.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right,
like
yeah.
that's just
Absolutely.
real now.
Mhm.
And I love that so much. And to your point, man, like that's so true. Like
Yeah.
it was like something really unlocked because you didn't know what you were doing at
Right.
the time. And you would only learn really and progress if you were friends with another guy who did it or knew someone who did it.
Mhm.
And then you'd step into that room together and then
Yeah.
they would show you something, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that, you know, becoming a DJ in that era, especially, I think was even more special because it like made you care more about those things.
Right.
And like learning,
Absolutely.
you know, instead of letting the technology teach you, you know.
Yeah, you had to go out and find those answers.
That's
even
right.
getting
Find
the
those ways.
music, you guys had to.
Yeah,
there was
exactly.
there's no like such thing as you stay at home all day and just like download music.
That's why I
you
said
know?
slowly building the
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because
yeah.
each record would be like $15, $25
Mhm.
back
Whoa.
then in that money. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So
That's
even
wild.
more. And then if you wanted to rock doubles, you had to buy 2.
Mhm.
So, yeah, man, when Serato came out, I couldn't wait. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, don't gotta buy this shit no more. Like, let's go.
Serato made my life easy when I started
Yeah.
getting into it.
Right.
That was like,
Yeah.
I only picked it up last year. Yeah, about
Serato
last
changed
year.
the game.
And I was like,
Oh, sorry.
this is not that hard actually, but then it was actually still that hard. It's just like you can actually get more music easier, and I was like, okay, it's not hard to get music, but it's still hard things to put things together.
Right.
And for those who don't know, what is Serato? It's like a software. You
It's
give
a
me
software.
Yeah, okay.
So that was
Right.
like really I would say they call it the industry standard really of like DJ software
Yeah.
because it was one of the first. It wasn't the very first. Actually, Virtual DJ was the first.
Yeah.
But Serato was really the one where the majority of DJs eventually like signed up and were like,
Interesting.
this is the one.
Okay.
So, you'll be able to use, like if you go to any legit venue, they'll have a setup that has Serato.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like there's still like you have Serato, but then now that you have Serato, you still got to go find all the music. You still got to find all the
Yeah.
files and upload them onto this. And now you just have one.
And it's cool. You create crates.
Yep,
They're called crates,
exactly.
right? So it's like,
What the hell?
yeah, it's still the same as like, it's the same principles as then.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On
It's
a
like, because
digital
you could tell
platform,
it was built by DJs. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that shit's hard.
Yeah, I have a specific crate playlist for you for
Oh,
your wedding.
You did? Oh, okay. That makes so much
I
sense.
did.
now.
After the
Yeah.
first wedding I did, it was like, okay, I didn't know you can have other crates or like add more files. It's like pretty much just building a folder for new music, right?
Exactly. Right.
And when I learned that, I was like, oh man, you know how much easier this would have been if I could just throw dance music into here and then throw hip hop into here, and that way I'm at a wedding and I'm like, okay, people want dance here,
click
I
through
throw
the
this on.
different crates.
But instead, I'm over here like turning the knob, trying to find dance music because people are yelling. It's like, hey, speed up the music, or can you slow it down? I'm like, oh man, that's one of the toughest things I ever had to go through is becoming a wedding DJ for a little.
I do not. You guys impress me. I'm like,
That shit's hard.
That shit's hard.
DJing for weddings is way more complicated than people know
Mm-hmm.
because you're talking about all different age groups too.
Yep.
And some people, I'm not even gonna say ages, but some people don't like certain things.
Yeah.
So you have to know
very
once
true.
again, going back to the storytelling aspect, right? Think about what the story is in the room and how am I going to touch on each one.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and so you gotta be super versatile, right? You gotta be able to read the room quick.
Yeah. Definitely.
And yeah, like, but at the same time, you know what I do, like, especially for weddings, which I don't do a whole lot of anymore, but like when I do, I always lean on the bride and the groom because it's like, this is your day.
Yes.
Right.
Because I really
Exactly.
mean that. Like, I'm like, this is your day, so you fucking get to say really what the vibes are.
Right.
And I will cater to that. And anyone else that tries to get me to deviate, I'm going to tell them, no, it's their day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did though. I said, hey, send me a playlist of stuff that you guys do want. I'll play whatever's on the playlist and I'll throw in my stuff in there and then work through it. And then, you have an American side, then you have their Asian side, and then they want, it's like the Americans don't want the Asian music, but the Asians want straight up, Asian music, loud music when we were at the wedding. And I'm sitting there, I had 3 ladies in front of me, like, can you play this? And I was like, man, that's 3 different songs. What do you guys want me to do? I'll take them all down, but I'll see what I can work with.
You ever done a half Latino, half Asian wedding?
No.
Man, that's
Crazy. I've done a few of those in a row, actually. Because all
How's
my
that?
homies are
Yeah.
Latino and Asian, apparently.
Yeah, that's hard.
But those are like difficult situations because once again, like culturally, it's like
Yes.
You're kind of flipping your brain every time.
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And like sometimes the uncle wants to hear the mariachi, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And just like some real shit, you
Yeah.
know? And then like some people are like, "What the fuck?" Like,
That's exactly what happened at your wedding.
You should have just mixed it at the middle and just had both of them playing at the same
It
time.
was like, oh.
it's a good challenge, though, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It made me learn a lot too because I only picked it up because I wanted to not always have to focus on hiring people to do music at our events. So we
Right.
do host pop-ups and stuff throughout the year, and I was like, why can't we do this by ourselves, right? It's better than having us just play music off the aux because it's like we had our first pop-up last year was so funny. We had one of us on the aux. He ran off to go be on the phone, and all you hear is like the buzzing sound, and you can hear the conversation going in and out. I'm like, okay, turn off the speaker. We can't do this. We got to be more professional about this. And I was like,
Well, and that was a huge sales tool for U92, especially
I'm
back
sure.
then,
Right.
because back then there weren't a lot of DJs.
Yeah.
So like that was like the only station that would offer a DJ when we popped up. So that's also why they invested, at least at one point, right, into that, because it was a unique proposition. Now every station has a DJ.
Right.
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
absolutely.
But to that point, I'm saying like it's smart of you to think that way because people do get stoked when there's a DJ
yeah.
at the event.
Yeah,
100%.
It just
I think
looks
it was
better. It
dude.
looks
Honestly,
dope.
I felt good after the first wedding when I did Peter and Ann's wedding because they were like, "Oh, we're just gonna do a Spotify playlist." 'Cause we did a Spotify playlist at ours, and I realized that having that meant no having control over the music because it just kept playing.
Yeah.
And that means like you had people not dancing, and you had some people dancing. But if you had someone catering to, like you said, the storytelling of the room, then it would be like, okay, we had everyone on the dance floor at one time or whatever, right? And when I did our friend's wedding last August, I felt really good about it because you got to see the whole thing. It's a lonely job, but you got to see the whole thing. And I was in the line, so I didn't get to be a part of like taking pictures of the bride and groom. I didn't take pictures of the line, so I know I missed out on that. But at the same time, I was like, I did something more for the wedding than I could have ever thought I.
You provided for the atmosphere.
You're really
Yeah.
controlling the vibe that's in it, right?
Yeah.
And Tay's great too.
Yeah, he was crazy.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I believe
bro.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for
just
sure.
Good taste is good taste.
Yeah.
everywhere.
I think that's
It
it.
leads into
If you have
everything.
good taste and stuff, then it showcase what you're doing,
That's
what
right.
you feel, right?
You got it.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask because we're in the day and age of subscriptions now. Do you remember how much Serato cost back then?
So there was definitely not a monthly fee
No, not at all.
back then. You just bought like the hardware and it came with the CD
Yeah.
to install the
With the key
program.
codes,
Yeah.
the key code on it.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
And there was no subscription.
So
But you know what? Serato box back then was probably like $250, $300.
right?
Sounds about
One
right. Then you got to buy the vinyls.
Mhm.
You know, came with like a pair usually. But and then the Rain 57, I bought that right away because that was the first mixer that had Serato built into it. That was the first
Ooh, that's
one.
hard.
Yeah. And so the 57. DJs know out here that are like from my era, they know how much I rocked that 57 until the wheels fell off. Like that shit was like no knobs left. You know what I mean? Like, and it was like, yo, you gotta upgrade, bro. Like, but I was like,
got
nah, I
super
love
glue in
this
his
thing.
pocket.
Yeah.
He's ready to put it all back together.
That was like my signature hardware, bro. A good run.
That's how you knew Erock was at a place, though. It's
That's
like,
right.
There it is, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to get into like kind of the music that you were into early on, especially with like the first like music that you tried playing with and started DJing with. What was
Yeah.
like your early music taste?
So, you know, I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a musical household, which was true, right?
Mhm.
And not just because of, you know, my mom's family business of that, right? But like, once again, just being influenced around me, right? So, you know, I grew up really loving like oldies at first, you know, like when I was really young, because that's what my parents listened to. All genres, you know. Not a lot of country, though, I would say that. Really no country at the house, but everything else was pretty much played. And then, like I said, I was a boombox kid, right? So then that's when I started tapping into like, you know, radio stations. You know, back then, well, they're still standing today, but back then, what's known as Wild 94.9 now, which is now like a straight up pop station, it actually used to be a hip hop station. And they used to have both Wild and KMEL, which is still standing, which is technically the urban station in San Francisco, the hip hop urban station. So that was kind of honestly like commercial hip hop shit that was on MTV.
Yeah.
That kind of like was my first foray into hip hop.
Yeah.
And then it was really, I got to give all the credit to skateboarding that taught me about like the other side of that,
Yeah.
the roots of it, you know, and everything that led from there. And quite frankly, you know, I grew up in that era too, where it was like, yeah, like those stations were like leaning more West Coast during that time. So like, I really didn't know about a lot of East Coast hip hop until skateboarding. And it was through, once again, like I started skateboarding at 5th grade and I skated all the way through high school. And so I would go to the skate shops, buy those skate tapes. And then I would find out there was like some dope hip hop on there. I'm like, what is this? So I'd wait till the end, you know, at the credits, see what it was, write it down, go to the record shop, you know what I mean?
Find them.
Yeah, and just start digging. And so I think hip hop was a huge part of that. But I also don't want to discount the fact that, yeah, like other genres of music were around me. And it, quite frankly, like influences a lot of the taste of how I DJ now.
Oh, of course.
I play a lot outside of hip hop too, you know, and depending on like what situation I'm hired for too, you know, like vibes are different, you know, so I'm thankful that I just personally have a versatile taste, you know, in music, because I just appreciate good shit. Period. And I also like the cheesy shit too, man. Like
I do too. We love the cheesy shit over here.
You know, like
tell them.
I love all of it, man. Like, and so yeah, if you catch me in a certain situation, I might, you know, drop some wild, like some shit you wouldn't think would go together. You know. So,
no, everybody probably thinks I'm listening to whatever. Something hard or something, but it's like in sync in my headphones, and I'm
That's
like,
right.
and I'm like, I can't sing along to it right now, but I really fucking want to.
yes, you can.
That's fucking Backstreet, bro.
No, that's how deep. That's how deep he is. He's like, how dare you? That's the competition.
I'm sorry, it comes out sometimes because I'm an in sync guy, you know.
My bad, my
You literally said that, and I was like,
bye,
you did
bye,
not just
bro.
do that.
Bye. It's gonna be May. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be May.
So funny, bro.
I went to an NSYNC concert.
Really?
Yeah, junior high. Yeah.
I can't even imagine the energy in that room because it's fucking.
Oh, and it was like Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. It was like a pop
crazy.
tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had the Disney bunch. That's what what happened.
Disney bunch for sure.
That shit was nuts. Yeah. I mean,
they get
it was just
wild.
girls screaming.
Exactly.
You can't even hear the music. Just girls screaming the whole time.
That's exactly what I imagine.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. Like I didn't know this about myself until looking back at my music history. But I was like, bro, because I love pop music too. Don't get it twisted. But it's like I've liked every boy band from every era. So from down to freaking, what is it, 97 degrees? 98 degrees.
Oh, what?
Yo, how you gonna disrespect the cliche like that, dog?
My bad, bro. I think
You
about
gotta
too many
raise the
things
temp a
at
little.
My bad, boo-boo. I'm sorry. 98 degrees.
Wow.
Backstreet Boys. I love One Direction.
Wow.
NSYNC is my guys. And then Big Bang, even K-pop. We were early adopters into K-pop, like
I love that.
2006 was when we
2006.
first started
Yes.
listening.
Going crazy.
Yeah, bro.
That was my MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
When I discovered, I don't know, I didn't have music on my MySpace for a long time. I was just like that kid. It's like I just got on, talked to my friend, that was it. And then
cool, man.
I was on YouTube one day and I discovered this group called Epic High. They're a hip hop group from Korea, and their first song just really captivated me. Or not their first song, the first song I heard by them is Fly. And it's like the music video was so crazy because it was like there was these people at gunpoint. You had Epic High on the news station rapping and stuff. And then I was like, what is going on? And I don't even understand them, but I just felt all of it. And I was like, okay, I'm making this song my MySpace song. And then if you ever caught me on the bus back in the day, my bus ride to school every day, because in Oregon, you get to choose the high schools within like 2-hour radius from you. And I would my bus ride was an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back. So it was 3 hours total travel. And my iPod was just K-pop at the time. Yeah. That was it. Just Big Bang. And
did you ever get into J-pop?
Yes, I love
Yeah.
J-pop.
So
I even
gaming pulled me into J-pop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big
Japanese pop?
Ayumi
Yeah.
Hamasaki fan.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Going crazy.
Shout out to IU one time. She's still a legend today.
Still, yeah.
Still.
Yeah,
it was
even
an
City
anime.
Pop too. City Pop at the
City
time
Pop,
was
yeah.
like it wasn't big at all, and then until like just recently, City Pop just got really big out of nowhere. With the power of the internet, I think that's what it was. With the power of the internet, it started giving people more insight on what Japanese City Pop was at the time and what it is now. Because I think I showed a lot of people here when they come to the house. And what is that song? The Weeknd did a song.
Something time.
Yeah, something time. But everyone is like, man, this instrumental is so hard. And I was like, dude, that's a City Pop instrumental. I was like, Henri Summer. And then they were like, what? And then my cousin Timmy, he texted me, he goes, hey man, have you seen this one? I was like, yes, I saw that
That's
one.
dope.
Going crazy.
That's
So-
dope. See, you are a real DJ.
If my favorite place in Japan outside of like going shopping and stuff is to be at a record store. So they still have a Tower Records there. There's record stores literally in every corner of
I know those
Japan.
go hard too,
Dude,
I know
and
there's some shit.
It's like
in there.
you go in there and it's also cool to see like you get a lot of the American stuff that we see here, right? But it's cool to see everything in Japanese lettering. It's like wow, it just made it like a little more, a little step up, right?
There was
I'll
a
definitely
Japan,
buy all of them.
there's still a Japan Center to this day in San Francisco, and I used to go, take parts, go skate over there, and they had those music shops.
Yep.
And they just had every anime soundtrack you could think of at the
Oh,
time,
crazy.
and just like artists from there, you know what I mean? And so yeah, man.
My
into that
profile
stuff.
picture on Instagram used to be me. There used to be this long spear, like a black spear, and in the middle of Japantown in San Francisco, and it was me just crouched down and then the spear up top, and it was like I think I had it there for like 10 years. I think I just changed it like 2 months ago. I think. Yeah.
Oh, for real? That's when you changed it?
Yeah, I literally just changed it like 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even have that picture anymore. That's why I didn't want to change it because it was on.
Okay.
It was like on my note too.
Damn.
That's how. That's how long ago that I had that picture for. And so yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because we would go. San Francisco used to be a place where I wanted to move. Like growing up, I really loved the whole atmosphere of it. The people, just everything. Because I also was a Golden State fan too. So it was just like, man, San Francisco is where I want to be. And slowly, I just like, man, I love Utah. It started. We sat down with a guy there. I tell the story a lot because we sat down with a guy. We were just eating at this random place, and he's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm from Utah." And he's like, "Oh, that's gonna be like the next San Francisco. Trust me." And I was like, "What does that even mean?" I didn't know like other cities became other cities like that.
Yeah.
And I come from Portland, where Portland doesn't change for like 20 years. Everything in Portland like stays still. Time just stays still there, and like they slowly start to pick things up, right? And then Utah, you see it now. It's just like every year, it's like, man, that used to be a field, or that used to be this and that.
Yeah.
Getting popping
yeah.
over here
All the time.
So
When I moved here, at least the first 5, 6, 7 years of that, like it was not moving that fast.
It took
So I've also seen
yeah,
it took a while.
It's up until recent though. It was like we
No,
would.
it's a fact. 15 years, we've added like 1 million people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
in population out here.
Yep.
Crazy.
Man, yeah. So, I kind of just like, I think I want to settle in Utah. I would like, if it's becoming what I think it is, obviously San Francisco is becoming not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And
That's so sad about California in general.
yeah, California in general, but
That's also media. Let's
Yeah.
be real.
True.
They love those headlines.
When I hear
It's not
San
all.
Francisco, I think about Full House.
Yeah.
there you go. That's still
You make me
like-
proud for saying that.
I think Full House, like that. The houses, all
Yeah.
close
On the-
together
on the
and
slant.
shit.
Yeah.
I
That
took
part.
wifey there because she was a big fan of that show.
Yeah.
My
That
brother's
shit goes
named
hard.
after Uncle Jesse. Like, because that was my mom's favorite show when she first came to the States, like her first favorite show. And of course, John Stamos was sexy as fuck. Like, seriously. And then my brother's sexy as fuck. So it's like, it works out.
Asian John Stamos.
I told him that. I was like, you're like John Stamos, but like Asian, bro. And every time he's like, no.
This just sounds like the Step Brothers scenes. Like he's like John Stamos, and they're like, oh.
Dude, I love that show.
But yeah, let's go back into it. So we talked a lot about what you did in the past, what you've done. What are you doing now?
I feel like I have like a lot of jobs right now, but that's been kind of forever, to be honest. Now that
It sounds like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're busy, man.
But
busy.
so I'm still DJing. I'm super thankful to be going into my 8th season as the Real Salt Lake DJ.
Yeah.
nice.
Which is super dope, which the season just kicked off, but they've been on the road and they're going to come back this Saturday and do the first home opener. So I'm excited. I DJ every home game.
That's so hard.
It's like 25,000
nasty.
people every time.
Wow.
And the energy's always
It's
there.
a
I bet.
rush. It's a rush. Like I'm so addicted to playing there, and they know it, and I know it, and it's a great relationship. And so that takes up part of my schedule. A new brunch concept in Draper opened called Hash Kitchen, and I randomly got this call from a radio colleague from the past. And she was like, yo, these guys who have this brunch concept, they got like 10 of them out in Phoenix. They're going to open one in Draper. And, they ran into each other, and she was like, they asked me like, yo, who do we hit up out there, to be like the guy and help us like book DJs. And so she gave him my name, and he called me out of the blue. We had a great convo. And so now I'm DJing there and like managing the DJ roster there.
That's hard.
Oh,
Is it open
sick.
already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It opened like, it soft launched like December, I want to say. It's like November, December.
Oh, so
Wow.
fairly new then.
Oh, yeah.
brand spanking.
Yeah. And it's been really fun because, I mentioned the managing part, not for any other reason, but because it was just another way for me to like also like throw bags at friends.
Oh,
And like, or like reconnect with old friends that I hadn't connected with in a while, and I'm proud to like say that the first original roster, I hired all girls first.
Okay.
Which was something I wanted, I don't know if it was intentional right away, but I like thought about it and I was like, yo, like, where do you ever see that?
Yeah.
In Utah, like, where does that exist? So shout out to Chassis, shout out to Sade. And they were my first two that joined me there. And then I've kind of expanded since and brought in more homies. And then shout out to Bangarang. He always involves me in Sky.
Nice.
We're going to be doing, the next thing is, I think I'm doing like a Sunday with Fabulous. And then
Going crazy.
the Rooftop series is going to kick off soon here too,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite things to do there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be doing like 1 or 2 a month doing that.
Dang.
And then just random stuff, guys, like, private events I get booked for randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the other side is I'm actually with KSL Radio now. And I'm a reporter producer for them. And that happened randomly 9 months ago.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Love that.
it was just like a random, it's like early last year, I just went on a blitz on LinkedIn because it had already been like a year since I was out of U92. I went through some like personal growth during that time and just like had to deal with a lot of like the fallout just personally in my mind about walking away from my quote unquote dream job. And once I'd gotten out the other side of that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go online. I'm going to apply to everything that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like if it has the word media or radio or whatever in it, I'm going to apply for it. And then it was like May, right? So I did that in January. And then it was like May of last year. And I got this random call. Her name is Becky at KSL. And I loved our conversation that we had right out the gate. And then our conversation over the phone turned into bringing me in and then having a conversation then. And at the time, what I agreed to was just an on-call position. Because, I still, in a way, like, didn't want to, like, go all the way into something right away. I wanted to kind of feel things out and have options. Because, once again, I was really busy with my DJing anyways.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really dedicate to it full-time. Anyways, 9 months later, I've really enjoyed my experience there. Done everything from reporting for KSL Radio to producing like sports podcasts with KSL Sports upstairs. And then really it's I go back, I keep saying this throughout, but I hope that's the theme really at this point is storytelling is like my favorite thing.
Of course.
When I think about my 16, 17 years at U92, yes, there's been a lot of amazing, mind-blowing moments, whether it's with artists, with DJing, whatever, right? But really my favorite moments were the local stories.
Yes.
Was my 20 episodes of Bars I did, which was like a freestyle series with local artists.
That was hard, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of that. Shout out to Jordan, who helped me like film that, produce that, all that too. And shout out to all the artists who participated because, once again, that was like really me listening to the community and trying to do everything I could to use a mainstream platform like the station was at that time and give it back,
Right.
because they opened the door to me. I want to do the same. That's also what I did with hiring DJs and mixers too.
Right.
Once I got the position to be able to do that, I had a roster of like 18 DJs, man. Like hired
that's
all the
hard.
homies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were DJing from the morning through the night. Like there was not a day part where there wasn't a live DJ aspect to it. And I'm really proud of that. You know what I mean? So I went
That's
off on a
amazing.
tangent. Sorry. I don't
No,
know
No, we
that's
love it.
where we are.
So cool to see, especially the behind the scenes work and
Yeah.
the fact that you're putting on other DJs.
Yeah.
Because that's really the point of it all, right? When you reach a certain point where you have some type of calling power where you can bring in some homies to, especially if it's like your grind and you want to
Yeah.
check, like that's
Right.
really important to have,
Yeah.
especially back then at that time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so long story short, 9 months later, they asked me if I'd be interested in a full-time position. And I accepted it and I actually started last week.
Whoa,
So-
congratulations.
Yeah, thank
Going
you.
crazy. Tell
Yeah.
him.
So, I've been really enjoying that because it's those favorite moments when we used to go and take over lunches at high schools, deliver a good message, but also turn up with them and just go crazy.
Yeah.
And then reciprocate and open the doors and have them on. We would do like student stuff on Fridays where they would take over the afternoon show. Those are some of also my most favorite moments. So for me to be able to relive that and tell more local stories, and also become like a better journalist through all of this, right? Like that's where like I've been so grateful for these past 9 months with KSL, because I've really learned a lot, you know, even after 17 years of doing radio, it's so different even, you know, in a lot of ways as well. But also those things I learned from that first chapter, they're definitely like helping me in this new chapter.
Yeah.
And if anything, that's what helped me get to this full-time position, because and I'm gonna be real with y'all, like I didn't use any of my weight from previous. I went in there as Eric Cabrera.
Yeah.
Purposefully.
Crazy. Right.
I didn't like show nothing, you know? I wanted to like earn my way, really learn, you know, the journalism game and news and all that. Find out my version of that too, and finding how to make that a passion thing for me. And yeah, and then, you know, people started to find out here and there, and then like some, you know, someone from sports was like, yo, you DJ at RSL, right? And yeah, that stuff helps, but like I just want to say, yeah, like that was kind of purposeful. And so I'm so grateful I have like this next chapter too, where I have like an outlet to tell those stories outside of DJing. Because that's the other thing too, like I'm the kind of person that needs different things to make me appreciate things. Just like most people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once you start focusing some energy somewhere else, then that makes you even more hungry or more want to, you know, be more mindful about your other shit. You know what I mean?
I
That's a
wanted
lot
to
to
ask, do you feel like you have more room for the storytelling and all this being with KSL and you know, versus being with U92?
Yeah, what's cool is like, you know, it's true, like it's so different, like, you know, it's more talking. You know, except for when I was in the mornings. Like when I did a morning show, we had to talk a lot. You know, it was really, we had to fill the time as much as we could. We played, you know, maybe a fourth of the music that other day parts would play. So I learned a lot. That kind of helped me prepare for this, you know. But yeah, like, you know, I feel like I want to like say that like my first chapter was more, you know, entertainment based. So it was just a different mindset.
Right.
You know, and now it's like, no, like I want to be a fair journalist. I want to like do my due diligence. I want to have real sources. I want to cite those sources.
That's awesome.
I want to make sure truth is told,
Going
whether
crazy.
I like it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not about my opinion really anymore. Where back then it could have been, you know,
Right.
at times, and I did. You know what I mean? Like they probably wouldn't hire me if they knew some of the shit I said on Twitter back then. You know what I mean? But
This is a safe place.
Don't fact check.
But I deleted all of it.
Yeah,
Too late.
Don't go back.
I archived it all. But but yeah, so yeah, it's really great because now being like, especially the reporter aspect, which is the majority of my job. For example, last week, I got to, you know, do this story on a girl who's legally blind, right? In America Fork. She's a senior in high school. She was born blind. She had multiple surgeries throughout her childhood to restore something, but she's like only nearsighted, has no peripheral vision, has scars across both of the front of her eyes. And like, so she's legally blind, literally. She was the captain of her varsity basketball team.
Whoa.
And she could shoot threes.
That's crazy.
And it's all by like memorizing how many steps on the court, practicing every day, the team learning how to play around her that way to put her in that pocket where she knows where to shoot and how to shoot, how much to shoot. And that was like that's just an example of like this job really, I could spend more time now on those stories because that's my job, is the story now.
Wow.
Where back then I wore a lot of hats between brand manager, between being an on-air host, between being a DJ, between coming up with the promotions, producing the concerts,
Right.
having the sales packages for, you know, the sales team, answering to management, worrying about ratings,
Right.
worrying about the labels and the artists and connecting with them and connecting. Like now it's just stories.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I do have more time. You're right.
That's crazy.
Thanks for helping me realize that. I didn't even know that until you asked. Look at that.
No, that's hard, man. I'm happy you get to step into that next phase and really jump into that because you really are a great storyteller.
Thank you.
Very much
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And I'm just curious because you mentioned like the morning shows that you used to have. That was like one of my favorite things to listen to.
Yeah.
What was that like experience like? Do you guys just kind of go in and like have some fun, maybe have some prompts ready for you? But what is like that operation like? Because that's kind of our dream thing. Like fuck everything else. We're gonna go in the morning first thing. And just shoot the shit. Yeah.
So what's interesting is like, every situation is a little bit different, right? And when we're talking about a situation like that group, right? Like broadcast radio, that's part of the Nielsen panel, which is how they get rated, which determines the price of advertising, right?
Interesting. Wow.
That mindset's a little different. Now, talent typically, they're just there to do their job, be creative, do a show, get ratings, right? All that, right? But because I had multiple jobs, it was like I had to think about it in like 3 different positions. So it did kind of mess me up at times, right?
Interesting. Okay.
Because then I would maybe pull back on this because I was like, oh man, I can't do that because this data says this, right? And so like it was definitely a battle for me mentally, to be real, between art, science, and business.
Yeah.
Making everyone happy.
Yeah, it's
Right.
really hard. But yes, so some shows who have that, they've been into the game 30 years, like Radio from Hell on X96.
Yeah.
They've got a team of producers, they've got board ops, right?
Yeah.
Not to take away from what they do, because they do like fill their show with their content and their ideas, their stories. But like on United 2, our budget, that's why I was an on-air person, being also a program director.
Right.
Because our budgets weren't like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just me, a homie, that I convinced to do this with me, and we would figure it out. But of course, like there's plenty of also great examples out there to seek some kind of inspiration.
Right.
And at least like find framework, And I'm really thankful too that like I got to be in the positions that I got to, because that helped me also talk to other program directors across the country, other people in the business, other shows. It connected me that way.
Yeah, you knew kind of how they think, aside from
Totally.
just being
Well,
the
I would
talent,
show up to those events, those same music events,
Right.
and then I would pull that person aside and be like, yo, let's get a drink. I want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's really what you make of it. And so, yeah, I got a lot of, and I want to say that too, like when I think, you're bringing up all these feels for me, right? About this whole chapter. And like, I think the cool part is like all the people I met. And I'm not even talking about artists. I'm talking about everyone else. I'm talking about all the behind the scenes people.
Yeah.
The people that really like helped me and answered questions when I didn't know the answers and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a constant, like you just got to stay a student, right? And just learn around you.
Absolutely.
That's impressive. You're juggling the creative side and data and analytics, man. Like,
So I had to be real. I kind of don't ever want to be in that position.
It's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
Well, and it's just like there's also a reason why in most bigger situations, it's like they are separated.
Yeah.
Typically.
100,
Now at KSL, even though it's like news radio, so totally different. But like the program director, he does like not talk to any of the reporters about any of that stuff.
Right.
He doesn't want to mess the, it's about good journalism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm saying like, I mean that situation. I would never want to like put myself back into that because that was crazy.
Yeah.
And it really did a number on my mental health.
Right.
And now you get to just
Over time.
focus on your own thing.
Yeah.
Or at least at one thing.
Well, and what's
right?
cool about KSL is like, I feel like I'm part of a start of an evolution there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's be real. Like when people think of that brand, what do they think, right? They think,
Classifieds.
yeah. And like, who are they technically owned by? Right?
Yeah.
It's like the company is owned by the church, actually. Well, they own a company that owns. That's how they explain it to me. Like at my orientation, I'm like, that's the same thing.
We've heard it.
But that's
all
what I
before.
mean. But that's what I mean is that like I could tell even in my orientation, right? They're like trying to show like, no, we are, we're not like dictated by them, like there's a separation,
Right.
Yeah.
and so, I was thinking I was walking into like a real Mormon situation, you know what I mean? Which in certain aspects it could be, but really though, no, like it's way more diverse background wise there than I thought. And I feel like too, just the fact that they fucking hired me, right, is a sign that like,
They're
things
going in the
continue
right
to
direction.
evolve.
Right.
Yeah, things continue to evolve. And so I'm just happy to be able to
That's
be there and
crazy.
part of that.
That's actually sick to hear too,
Yeah.
because nobody would think that like KSLs is kind of a standard news,
Yeah.
or at least to the majority of the people. But and now that they're kind of changing and kind of adapting to like the new generation, like it's actually kind of reassuring to hear.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I
Especially when
didn't
it
even
comes
know
to-
they had
yeah.
a radio station.
Well, and they pay people to do
Yeah.
podcasts now there and everything. Like,
Really?
Yeah, it's a whole
Wow.
thing. I got homies who shout out to the RSL show.
Mhm.
They got picked up by KSL Sports this past year.
Wow.
They flew them out to go see their opener with Messi the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, Florida.
Crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. So so far so good, guys. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. You guys are doing a great job.
That's
man.
crazy, man. Off the menu KSL going crazy.
like,
look.
Going crazy.
Off the classified. Off the menu for sale. For sale.
We're doing a GoFundMe tonight, dude. We're good, dude.
Honestly, that's so hard. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
And it's really
Yeah.
cool too because that situation too, it's like TV and radio and digital are all in the same area. So we all like really coexist and like for example, God flex a little bit on
Tell
this.
him. Tell him.
Let 'em know.
That basketball story I did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I really was the only one there who covered that. And then I created like a reel that got really great reaction for them this past weekend. And so TV reached out to me this morning and we're like, yo, we want to run that story on the morning show on TV tomorrow.
Oh, damn.
So that's what excites me. That's what motivates me. I'm like, oh wow, like I could do some cool shit that I really like. And then they're like, oh wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
They're taking some insight from you.
Yeah.
It feels good, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's got to be nice to like build opportunities over, especially over the last 20 years, like
Yeah.
being in Utah, that you've been able to grow and see where Utah has been at, and now you get to share stories that you want to share.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
like because I wouldn't have known that story at all, and like when you were telling the story, I was just thinking, man, that's such a crazy story because like for you to be able to be a team captain and like also be able to still play basketball while being legally blind
Right.
is already a crazy enough as a story, but then to also be able to just like, it all goes back to having like muscle memory, and like you have to keep building that for you to sit there and like do this, especially in high school where it's kind of tough to when you have something going against you, it never really helps you with anything, right? And so for you to be able to share such a story, like it opens our eyes too, because we've never heard such a story too.
and I
it's
got
pretty
and I
much
got a
down
cool
the
one
street.
tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, bro.
Oh no, I was about to say it's just like down the street from us. It's just
Yeah.
so even crazy, yeah.
Yeah. And tomorrow, for example, I'm going to Highland High School because there's a teacher there who started the very first step team in Utah ever.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's black herself and like is like that mentor to those black students, who feel kind of out of place there. You know what I mean? Like that's where like I'm running towards, you know what I mean? Like I'm loving this because that's the stuff that I love to do. I just didn't always have the time to do it or,
Yeah.
but now it's like, that's my 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And I love it.
Yeah.
And then it pushes me also back to my other stuff that I love. You know what I mean? 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
like, can't wait to go do that set on the weekend.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I need to turn this off because the flip side is true too. Like being in news media, like you are constantly reading horrific shit at the
Yeah.
same
Oh,
time.
sure.
And it's like the emails that I get from different authority, police departments, and like, we're constantly searching and scouring for things, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's like you get a view into what's really happening out there. You know what I mean?
It's crazy that you're, man, I never really, until you said all of this, I didn't really even think about it, but like, you're right. I like hearing you on air. One of the times that I tuned into radio for more than 30 minutes was when you had Bo and Bobby on. and you guys were just chopping it up, having
That's right.
conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this next chapter for you to like really dive into that and,
Yeah.
and go crazy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be crazy.
And I also just a little plug because I'm excited about this. I've also decided off of that basketball story because I'm working on it.
Mhm.
Anything that I really believe needs to be told
Mhm.
at length, I'm gonna create long form versions on my YouTube channel.
Oh shit.
That's dope.
Because radio's limited. Our stories are usually about a minute and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Multiple versions, and they run throughout the day. But still, it's like you can only say so much.
Mhm.
And then even on like social media, you can only go a minute 30 and on
Yeah.
reels,
Right.
things like that. So like, yes, I'm good at that, and I can share those. But I want to go like deeper. I
Yeah.
wanna, like,
Yeah.
and I want to it's also just like a personal thing for me. Like, I just want to leave behind things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to create like journals of everything. And like that's my way of journaling.
Yeah.
Right.
Is going to tell those stories really fully the way I want to.
Mhm.
My shit, my tone, my everything. And let those breathe and live online.
Yeah.
Where
That's
can
beautiful.
people see that though? Like, so you said it's on YouTube. Do you have the YouTube?
Yeah, so I have Erockalypze on
Yeah.
YouTube. I've always used it for just random shit
Yeah,
from
yeah.
DJ routines to
Yeah.
mixes to my family things that I just, like I said, I just want to journal and have
Yeah.
forever. But yeah, that was really like a recent
Yeah.
thing that I figured out that I want to do with it because I have the footage. I went there. I took all this,
Right. Right.
There's like a good portion of like video that's just sitting there and I'm like, man, I could tell this further,
Mm-hmm.
So
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Man.
dude.
Wow.
I'm not wrapping my head around it too, because something like that, it's like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong too. It's like you're kind of doing your own new Dateline almost, and diving
Yeah,
deeper
I guess
into
so.
stories.
Yeah,
right?
in
That's
a
the best
way.
way I could put it.
yeah, in a
right?
way. And
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
I watched Dateline the other night. You're right, bro.
It's
You're
like
not
60
wrong.
minutes of
Yes.
Erockalypse.
So does my lady too, so that's why I
It's
know.
definitely not going to be edited like
Yeah.
Dateline, but I know what you mean by the analogy. Yeah. They need to update their shit.
They really do.
They've been
They
doing
do.
the same formula for 800 years.
It's like Times New Roman of freaking
Yes,
shows, bro.
thank you.
It just works.
Yo,
It
but I
just
still
works.
watched it. I say that, but I still watched it.
Man.
Wow, I'm Dateline years old now. Wow. How times
All right,
have
let's make
changed.
you feel younger.
Yeah, let's go.
So with the coming of age though and technology and everything,
Yeah.
for a DJ that used to go through analog and then went through Serato, and like I also go through your Instagram a lot because I like to hear the mixes, right?
You go so
Um,
crazy.
yeah,
bro.
and
so
it's like,
crazy.
Being in media, was it pretty easy for you to get into doing social media stuff and making cuts? Like, you were obviously making stuff before, but then being able to produce it for like a short form, like right?
So yeah, exactly. Like I think it was just a progression thing.
Yeah,
I also think it was like a necessity thing because I also thought about this on the way. Radio and the landscape of just people's attention and media in general changed over that whole span.
yeah.
for sure.
Think about from 2005
Mhm.
to 2024.
Right.
And so, that was also some struggles at times where, there would be upper management that just didn't get that things were going digital or, podcasts were a real thing.
Right.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I lived through that changeover. And so it was on really us, to push those things forward. So I think it was just like a natural thing for me because I also knew like, oh man, like we got to get social media popping, right?
Right.
For the station, oh shoot, we got to create content, around these events that we're doing now.
Right. Right.
Oh, we're doing these interviews on air. We got to do videos now for that.
Mm.
So I think there was always just that element,
Mhm.
from my day job that then bled into my personal life. But to be real, it was long before that.
yeah,
I was the kid with the camcorder that like broke my dad's video camera and he was so
Yeah.
pissed because I tried to strap it to my skateboard. I thought that was a good idea. You know what I'm
It
saying?
sounds like a good idea to me right now.
Yeah.
Shit.
And I used to like dub like skate tapes with my homies with like 2 VHS players,
Mhm.
and then record in the middle and then like connect it to my mixer so I can like add music on top of it.
That's fucking
Like this was
crazy.
way before
Yeah.
Final Cut,
Right.
Premiere, all that, right? Like, so I've always just been like real nerdy about that shit. Like I just love that shit. Like, I don't know, just I was always fascinated by like, man, how do they put these tapes together? Like, how is this possible?
Mm.
And then, you know, even when Final Cut Pro came out in the early days, there was like manuals that you could buy and then you can get certified by Apple.
Yeah.
So I did that in my 20s. Because I thought like, oh, I'm going to be like a video editor one day. You know what I mean? Like that was like a goal of mine.
Right. Yeah.
But then all this other shit happened, you know, but it always stayed with me. And so, yeah, I think, you know, that definitely led to where we are today, you know, and just understanding like, oh man, like people really do like bug out if I like put some thought into like a 90-second thing.
Yeah.
But what's really dope about that too is it's also helps me because those are also like ideas I save in crates in Serato.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I play the right room or the right set, right, I can lean on that and do something showy. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like it feeds my creativity in the overall as well. It's not just that, you know, it's like, like I could lean on those as like part of my performance, you know?
That's crazy. You talked about like the attention span thing. You will never you won't catch a kid today listening every hour to write down the top I don't know, there's a segment on the show on U92 where you listen on every hour and you write down the songs and you call in and try to tell them every song. What was that called? Fuck, I forgot what it was called.
Too. I just remember. I never participated,
but
like
countdown thing. I remember my aunt used to do it. She listened to the radio and she'd write down
the Hot 888.
Yeah. You have to write down all of them every hour. They play a song and shit, and then you call in and try to get a fucking some tickets and shit.
Yeah.
What was song number 4?
It cost you more to pay for the parking downtown to come pick it up. You know what I mean?
Man,
that was my biggest gripe sometimes. You know, like before I was programmed, I'm like, why the fuck you giving away $10, man? Like this shit costs more. You know, 99% of the people who support us are on the west side. That shit gonna take forever. You know what I'm saying? Like to get over here. And then they gotta pay $7 for parking. Like what the fuck?
My only thing that I ever won from U92 was the Dark Knight tickets. I won.
You did?
Yeah, I won tickets. I won 4
Was
tickets.
it a text situation?
It was like a Facebook thing. They were like moving it to Facebook stuff, and then I went and tagged some friends and stuff.
I love that.
Literally, you had to pay more for the parking than the tickets. Actually, but it was great. It was the first. It was Dark Knight just came out. It was actually a premiere showing, so it was like on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it was actually really nice to actually see it before it actually fully came out.
Yeah. Out of all the movies that you could have seen, that's probably the best one though. For real.
Hell yeah. I do miss that aspect of like hooking people up with things.
Man.
I do miss that shit.
That
I really
tight.
did love that.
My girl is like famous on U92. Man, I talked to you on the phone once. You were like, tell me where you from. And I'm like, West Valley. You're like, U92, where hip hop lives. My girl was always, we were caller number 9 all the time, bro. We had your number on speed dial type shit, bro. We were going crazy.
Bro, I love that so much.
We won tickets to Big Sean. We won tickets to
everything,
man.
You guys for like 3 months straight won everything.
It was like a year, bro. It was
and by the way, like behind the scenes of that, you know, some stations have like a rule against that. And I fought that. I was like, no. It's like, because if these motherfuckers are so dedicated, they're going to call us. That means they're fucking tapped in.
They told
you know what I'm
listening.
saying? Like, I don't give a shit.
Bro.
Like, let them win everything. I don't care.
They were trying to give Jennifer a 1099 form or some shit, like a tax form.
Oh yeah, there is a
shit.
legit like legal thing.
She had to do like a.
I think it's like over $700 or something.
And she definitely hit that. That was over 7. She definitely was on that, bro, for sure.
Literally years worth of stuff.
Years.
Yeah. You guys were going to almost every show. You guys won so many little prizes.
We won tickets to Lagoon.
That makes me so happy, bro.
We're going crazy.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, man, we're fans. You're a super fan. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, Jennifer used to work in this clinic, and they just used to run U92 all day. So she would she would literally text me, "Babe, call now."
That's dope.
Speed dial.
Those were my favorite moments too, where like I got to, you know, I would start creating like reasons to leave the building for other reasons too, but like, you know, that was just a fun thing that we did. Like, and so like sometimes I would be like, yo, I'm gonna pop up at your work and bring you this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we would be like, yo, we're gonna do a lunch takeover for your whole business.
Yeah.
You know, we did a series. This was so dope. We did a Taco Tuesday series for like months in a row where literally I just wanted to like try every taco in Utah. So it was like, yo, let's like give away a Taco Tuesday takeover lunch for people's work from a different local taco spot every week.
That's hard.
Oh,
That's so
You feel
crazy.
me? So
That's
it's
it.
like that's what I mean. Like those are the things I miss. Like
Yeah.
being able to
Yeah.
create things like that.
yeah,
And you're like
sure.
directly like connecting with the community too.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Totally.
which is so huge.
Yeah. And
I
that's
miss
that's
that.
that's the fight that
Yeah.
radio really has to continue to fight.
Yeah,
Because
100%. Yeah.
Now it's like, you know, even my wife who is like the radio generation,
Mhm.
once the pandemic hit, she found podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was her
Right.
entry.
Yeah.
You know, she
So
was
true.
so in love with her local radio morning shows,
yeah.
you know, not just mine.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the landscape now. It's as hard as you think it is. It sucks for a lot of situations.
Right.
A lot of people have been fired or getting fired, or
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
or like the only way they could survive is like overworking and like recording for 8 different stations.
Right.
And,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, radio I will always love because it did so much for me, for my family, for the people around me.
Course. Right.
Mhm.
I'm still in it today, just in a different form. But like, yeah, I know the struggle that they're going through right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard. You know?
It's kind of tough to watch, especially since like I had my aunt's old Honda Accord 2003
Yeah.
friggin', and so I didn't have no
No
Bluetooth,
aux.
no
Right.
aux, no
Right.
nothing.
You were
right?
forced.
Oh yeah, I was like forced to, and I was like, I just grew up on the radio. Whether
Yeah.
you look from my childhood, even my teenage years, for the most part.
Right.
So I really did love radio, especially like if you had a classical. I would always go
Yeah.
between classical radio station and U92. Like those are like
Yeah.
the two ones that I would go to.
Yeah.
And
It's
it was just a different time where people actually like fuck with what's on the radio, and
Yeah.
and well, like I said, you guys connected with people out there, so
Yeah.
For sure.
yeah, it makes me bummed out now that they're transitioning. I hope there's a way that it can still kind of
Yeah.
live and thrive.
I do
Yeah.
believe that like there is a way.
Mhm.
You know, that was
Yeah.
kind of like also part of the reason why I left was like I wanted to try different things.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just didn't understand it. They thought it
Yeah.
was crazy. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I was like, no, we're crazy for not changing
Yeah.
Mhm.
because we are losing people by the day, you
Right.
know? And you know, like my 6-year-old doesn't know radio.
No.
Like I
not
know
at all.
radio.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and that's a real thing you have to think about, you know? Like,
Mhm.
I think, you know, in certain situations, like I was in, like, they just didn't want to like accept
Yeah.
the
Mm.
truths
Right.
because it was
Yeah.
like, you know, coming out of your comfort zone is a hard thing for some people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And I fully like now, like I'm a mature person, you know, like I
Right.
could admit that, like, I also get why they like rejected a lot of my like ideas because it's just so out of their comfort zone.
Right.
Mhm.
And they've been, you know, a lot of those, you know, upper management types are like been in the business for 50 years plus, you know, so, you know, because
Yeah.
radio's old. Think
Yeah.
about it. It's one of
Yeah.
the
It
oldest
is.
medias in
Right.
the world, you know,
100%,
like
yeah.
there used to be a time where things were black and white
Right.
and people would sit in their living room and turn on the radio.
Yeah.
There would
You
be
know what I'm saying?
radio
It's
true.
shows like
Right.
like it would be
Yeah.
like they'll tell you a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one of those ideas I had was really like, you know, utilizing the podcast community and bringing them into the fold and giving
Right.
them space.
Yeah.
Like I had a whole idea of that, you know what I mean? And I was just like, so plenty of talented people out here,
Right.
you know, in this wonderful state that we live in, and let's open the floodgates, you know.
Yeah.
Once again, that seemed real extreme to some people, you know.
That's
'Cause
crazy
just
that
not how they
even
did it.
sounds extreme.
For us, it's a
Yeah.
dream.
No, I
We're
know.
like,
that's
that's why I
crazy.
say,
Right.
I say that so openly here, you know,
Yeah.
because I know
Yeah.
you get it when I say
Right.
that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I also though too believe that people will get these things right.
yeah,
Things will
course.
evolve.
it's gonna happen
Right.
for
Yeah.
sure.
It'll definitely
Yeah.
happen.
And whether that's, you know, once again, radio technically turning digital, you know,
Mhm.
they could still call it radio because people still love to call their shows radio.
Right.
Yeah,
Because there's an essence of that still, even in the podcast community,
Yep.
as you guys know. But yeah.
That's so crazy. How you mentioned that your daughter doesn't know
yeah.
radio. Like,
Yeah.
dude, my son doesn't even know what a commercial is.
Right.
What?
Like-
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's like, no,
I don't know what a commercial is.
They-
now.
motherfuckers don't
they
even know
know-
commercials.
they know it as
Right.
5 to
you can
15 seconds, they could press the button.
Yep. Skip. skip.
That's
right?
it.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
like,
the world has changed.
time's coming, man.
It's amazing that they
Yeah.
know they can skip too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my nephew, he's about to be 3 in May. And he's the same age as Nori, and
Yeah.
he gets on anyone's phone, skip. He only likes using our phone because we pay for YouTube Red.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
he never has to skip anything.
Yeah.
And he just knows. He's like,
Yeah.
he always lifts out his hand. Is like this, like he wants to hold a phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know what he wants.
I also want to admit that it's made DJing more difficult, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
certain like people have this like notion of everything is on demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like for example, you know, some of those people who go to clubs or whatever,
Mhm.
they think, "No, I should get it now.
Yeah.
You should play this
for
now.
sure. Yeah.
Where's your aux cord?" You know, it's like they don't get
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's it.
that's very
It's
true.
I could see that.
Huh.
You know, it's gotten more aggressive that way.
Yeah.
where
You
it's
might
It's-
even think-
everyone thinks they can just request whatever and you have it on demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, it's like, bro, like if I wasn't tech savvy at all, I'd be like, bro, this is what I have. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But like, I literally like, okay, I'm gonna go download the song real quick and like go
Yeah.
get on YouTube and like figure out how I can get
Yeah.
the song. And I'm like, give me 10 minutes though, because
Yeah.
the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
here does not work. You know, and
Right,
get
right.
I think one wedding I had to plug in. I had to use my internet on my phone and tether it. I think it was Peter and Ann's wedding because people were walking. I was like, hey, we need more like ass shaking music. I'm like, bro, they didn't put any ass shaking music on their playlist, you know?
Hands on
Yeah.
the knees.
And then but see, that was like before, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, where's
Yeah,
Cardi
yeah.
B and stuff? I'm like, bro, I don't have any of this because this
Right.
Yeah.
this playlist is catered to the bride and groom. This is what they gave me. This is what I'm gonna
Yeah.
play. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And but then you have like 20 people walking up on stage. It's like, hey, can I get this song next? Can I get this song next? I even have my own wife. She's like, you speed up the music. They want more music. I'm like, they didn't give me ass shaking music. Stop telling me this. You know, it's like, I can't do this. And then I was like, okay, whatever. Get my internet going. And I was like, let me go find this music for them real
Yeah.
quick. And then I had like 5 songs ready loaded for them.
I'm glad I could help you express this.
Yes.
This is good for you. It's healthy.
And now I understand though. It's like,
It's healthy.
this is my
good.
therapy
It's very
session.
it's
Yeah.
therapeutic for both of us. Right?
This was like, I get it now. I was like, I've never been one to request music. 'Cause
Yeah.
I really love to go to shows and just listen to what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an art show. It's a story, like you
Yeah.
keep saying. It's just like I go to these things and I want to just see what they're able to put on because I've been a fan of like maybe DJing because of Nujabes. Like I was a big fan of Samurai Champloo and the hip hop aspect with anime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you know, going into Nujabes music with pre-lo-fi music, he was creating that kind of stuff. And then you know, J Dilla, all these amazing DJs that were putting stuff together. I think there was DJ Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
He used to put out
Oh,
tapes.
You show me that.
Yeah,
goes
he used to put out
crazy.
tapes, but
Those
he
Jay
was
Z tapes are crazy.
see,
Crazy.
but he had these skits, you know, from shows and stuff, and I loved it so much
Yeah.
that he was throwing comedians or like whatever he could into it, and I was like, this is something that I've always loved to hear. So when I go to a show, I love to see what DJs are doing or even artists.
True.
Yeah.
So,
Can I also say that on the other side of this conversation, my second daughter, Kira, she was at a New Year's jump off out there in VA, and she FaceTimed me from the club while she was harassing the DJ because he was so bad. He was so bad. She was like, "Dad, listen, this guy sucks." He's like right behind her, and I'm like, Kira.
she's all playing your music next to him. He's like, hey, this is my dad's mix. Put it off.
So I like can't even be mad at her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, she knows the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows this. So
put
like
her on.
rightfully so. I don't want to shit on everyone who's like, this DJ sucks. You have every right to think a DJ sucks if they do.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But you know.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that because I've heard some bad DJs.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's
That's
true,
what,
though.
that's also the negative part about the technology catching up and making it an easy access for
Yeah.
Yeah.
people. No, you know, it's just true. Like
Uh-huh.
some people just jump into it and then they think they can go do it, you know?
Yeah.
And
It's happening with art across the board, I feel like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
That's crazy, man.
Man, yeah.
You laugh.
Kira's wild. Kira's wild.
Here's the one that's
Wild.
like your mini
Second.
me, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's tight.
Yes.
That's gonna
We
be like
look alike. It's a whole thing. Yeah, she's wild.
that's just gonna be the craziest feeling is that
Yeah.
your child looks so much like you, your clone, and then she's like, my dad's a DJ, so I know what I need to listen to. And she's out at
Yeah.
places. She's like, oh,
You put
man,
her
this
on,
sucks.
man. Yeah. You put her on. That's what
But
happens.
it's also beautiful about arts, though, is that when
Yeah.
you get to teach, you know, the youth what you're doing. That's it's very the youth now is so. It's so crazy that how much they learn and take things in because of the power of the internet and social media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can literally show a kid something, and like we were talking about those 5-year-old DJs. They have little DJ competitions in Japan where like it's 10 and under or something. and they're literally putting on 15-minute sets, and like they're going crazy too.
Crazy.
And I was like, man, what? Like I always talk about like, you know, what was I doing at their age? What was I doing at 10 years old? I wasn't doing anything close to what they were doing.
But also shout out to those moms and dads who are passing this knowledge down.
Right.
And shout out to, you know, DJs like the Beat Junkies who open an institute, right?
Yep.
Because they want to pass on these techniques, you know, they want to pass on the skills. They want to make sure it doesn't die with them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so shout out to anybody who does that.
Yeah.
And shares outward as much as they, you know, want to receive.
That's really cool.
One of my favorite segments back in the day was there's a rapper freestyler Dumbfounded. He had this thing where everything is called Knock Study. And he would get these kids to come in and like learn how to like put stuff together. And I remember I was listening to this one mix they were putting together. It was like they were playing something and some like electronic shit. And then they started doing some Trey songs, and it was Can't Help But Wait. And he's like slowly chiming it in, and then boom, beat drops. I'm like, oh fuck, I know this song. And it's like the way he blended and put things together. I was like, man, these like 12-year-olds, you know. And it's like it's true though. You have to like it's amazing that the parents are out there doing stuff like that and handing stuff down, because our youth now, without what we're able to teach, they're not going to learn anything that they don't want. Like they're going to learn whatever they want to learn. But if things are handed to them and they're like, man, I can't believe like they used to do stuff like this.
Plus our influences, I've seen it in real life in my two older daughters, right? Like my influences have definitely carved out their tastes as well.
Oh, for sure.
Because as much as they teach me, you know, with the younger generation music, they also tell me, you know, they get comments from their friends like, damn, like, what's this? You know, like, because they're also into like throwbacks. You know, they're into like my era stuff because that was the stuff I was bumping in my car. To what you said earlier, right? That's real shit. So, and we are the coolest parents generation. You know,
of course.
Are you fucking kidding me? I wish I had me as a dad.
Of course.
I know. I'm jealous, bro.
Serious right now?
It's true, man.
You know,
it's like have you guys been seeing Keisha Cole's Love been blowing
Yes.
up right
Kids
now?
singing
Like the
it.
kids love it.
It's because they
right
got
now.
Goku singing that shit, bro. They got the AI
It's
on
crazy,
there.
man.
Keisha Cole for president. Bro.
Yeah, for real,
Straight up,
man.
2024.
It's crazy.
It really blows my mind.
It's so dope.
yeah.
It's crazy. And Mikey's all over that shit. Mikey loves the throwbacks. Motherfucker be
He was singing
listening
that
to
at the
everything.
pop-up. I was like,
yeah.
okay, Mikey.
He goes crazy. He loves it all, man.
You remind me of my wired headphones back in the day, bro.
I still got wired headphones still.
I mean, you know, there's a level to it.
It's because we used to travel a lot before like right after COVID. We were like going everywhere we could, and you get on Delta Airlines. You don't want to use their headphones. You use some Apple headphones. That's the only Apple product I own.
That's crazy.
Is their headphones.
You're absolutely right.
But I got my iPad, bro. I'm just watching stuff. Got my AirPods in. Either way. But kids, they have like untapped and unlimited potential.
Yes.
Like whatever they truly
They've always
enjoy,
had it. It's just now
Yeah.
it's being shown.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're being supported.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's important.
You know,
Yeah.
Because our parents, they like coming from immigrant parents, you know, it's hard for them to not know what to do here. You know, it's
Of course.
they had to learn everything and like learn English as a second language, or you know, even sometimes a third language, and pick up on laws and everything that happen, things they shouldn't do here, and
Even buying a house, like
buying a house,
dude, all
yeah,
this stuff.
you know, and they didn't know how to teach those things,
Yeah.
right? It's something they had to learn, but they couldn't teach. So we had to learn in different ways, right?
The crazy part about that is we were teaching my grandma how to spell certain words for her U.S. citizenship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
like we were sometimes teaching them how to do
I remember that
certain
with my
things.
parents. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, because we're learning it in school, and they're like, "You know this?" I'm like, "Girl, I go to school. Like, you get mad at me if I don't go."
Like, who was
Like,
the first president? What the it's George Washington.
Who's Abraham Lincoln? You know that guy?
Like they start naming like the king of Laos and stuff. You can't. That's what they know.
One thing I do want to say to my parents though is that they don't really know. They didn't understand everything that I was into, but at a certain point, they're just like, just go for it. Just do your thing. Because like if they know, like their love language is like if you come see them and if you work, right? Like the quality time and knowing that you're doing something on your own. Like,
Right.
And I think that was like the one thing that they could get. They're like, at least he's not just bumming it downstairs all day, every day, right? So it was just kind of like I give big ups to that generation for learning how to like work with a generation like us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we spent a lot of time trying to figure ourselves out. It literally took our first clothing pop-up that we ever did for More About Nothing, for my parents to be like, maybe there is something here.
Right.
Because before that, it was like this, I'm still a degenerate. I'm like 22 years old. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
Right.
I dropped out of high school, got my GED. Like, I went through everything. And then my parents still didn't believe in anything until not even just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And now even the podcast, they tune in every week.
Yeah.
And they comment. My mom's always comments like, great episode, or like, love this episode. Like,
Right.
she's really,
Right.
I think she's like one of like the few people that actually watch a full episode,
I love
and
that.
actually pay
yeah.
attention. Because like I watch the stats, you statistically we're looking at it, like if you have over 150 views and like only 10 hours or 10-minute watch time, it's like, that means only like 80% of people watching are only watching for about 10 minutes. And like, that means the people that are watching are like us and then a few others that are full time, and, I appreciate that what they did for me my whole life, because I now being at the age I am, I truly appreciate everything they've ever done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for them to be able to teach us and like for me to learn and become an adult that the way they wanted me to at such a late age. Because I'm 31 and I feel like I just barely started figuring out life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It's true.
And we started doing this, I was 20...
You were
22, 21?
Yeah, when we started the clothing brand, I was about 25.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was 23 then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was funny. When we started doing that, I kind of felt the same age ever since that. It was kind of crazy. I was like, I don't feel like I'm aging.
Batman doesn't age.
Hey, that's right, baby. I'm not the big Batman though, sadly. Just the little guy.
Man, what a great conversation, you
Yeah.
guys. This has been fun.
Dude, it's such an
Going
honor
crazy.
having you here.
Yeah,
I don't know
thank
how
you
many
so much.
times we want to say that. We should say that, but
That's
bro,
love.
it's wild.
Been super,
Yeah.
super grateful to be here, guys. For real.
Thank
you
you.
for having me.
But yeah, so you did mention a few things that you're doing here. For people to find you, where can they find you at so they can go see what you are doing?
Yeah, so I'm mainly heavy on Instagram, YouTube, a little bit of TikTok, but man, they have really copyright strike
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
everything.
Yeah.
Like half my videos, I just realized
Yeah.
are muted now because of that whole
crazy.
Universal Music Group shit and all that. So, connect with me on there. Shoot me a DM. Like once again, I just love being, creative. I love collaboration, whether it is in, music or once again, my news gig.
Yeah.
I think that was one thing I really wanted to say today. I thought about it on the way in. I was just like, if you have a story to tell in Utah, reach out to me.
Yes.
Mm.
Absolutely.
There's not a story too big, too small.
Yeah.
We'll work through that together.
Yeah.
But like, shoot me a DM, connect with me, find me, at Erockalypze, holler at me because I'm super motivated right now.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Especially
Yeah.
with all these new changes during the day. And then once again too, like collaboration wise, music wise too, like I love doing cuts for records that I'm into. The last one I got to do was shout out to Heather Gray and Asher Roth. Got to
Going crazy.
do a
Damn.
joint on their, not the one that they just released, but the one before. So if you want to get down musically, holler at me.
That's
And
crazy.
we'll figure it out.
No, we might have to end this. I might have to have him go home and make us a cut right here. Close out. We're gonna close it out with that.
Deal.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I've been getting more comfortable with having. We have a lot of musicians that come on, and we used to do this thing called. We'll get back to it, but Sunday Sounds used to be this thing where we had musicians come and do a song or a freestyle and stuff. We just had an artist. His name is Adam Banks. He's a producer here in Utah as well.
So crazy.
But he brought his guitar and we didn't even ask him. He's like, "You guys want me to play something for you?" Like towards the end of the
I
podcast.
saw that clip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was dope.
I was like,
dumb.
I would love to just have more artists just put something out. Like we would love to just showcase or whatever, highlight what any artist has been able to do. So
I thought you've been doing that because I've seen the clips.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Crazy.
Keep that going, guys.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important because all these guys are just homies too, and they've been so receptive
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like just open arms when
Yeah.
we just showed up, even to the first meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we really want to pay it forward to these guys because they're
Yeah.
doing something that's really important. really
Utah
huge for
once
us.
again does have a lot of talent, and it's just
Yeah.
you just need to know where to find it. And we are hoping that
Yeah.
we become the hub of whoever is creative in Utah.
What are you talking
come
about?
here.
Become, you are.
We are. I was about
What
to
are
just
you-
say
what are
that.
you
We
talking
are.
about?
We
Remember
definitely
last
are.
Yeah.
episode? We are podcasters.
Yeah.
Okay?
I am the editor. I'm just here.
Only took me 59 episodes
Yeah.
to say that.
Yeah. Tell him.
You were on the most episodes.
Just
Love
as
that.
you said though, with just sharing stories and spreading things out. We feel like we're doing the same on this platform.
Oh, you are.
with other
Yeah.
people.
I want to mention,
Yeah.
I was trying to catch up here and there on certain episodes, and then
Mhm.
I saw 55 with R.I.P. Daydream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's
Yes.
crazy is that was one of my favorite artists that did a freestyle on bars.
Yeah.
which was Ethan.
Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he shouts them out at the end.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually ask him what the hell that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I listened to that one, or I watched that one, and I was like, yo,
Yeah.
that's That's what he shouts
Yeah,
out.
there
at
you
the
go.
end.
Dude.
Got to see the
Exactly.
guys.
Yeah.
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 So
they
you
go
are
crazy.
doing that.
Yeah.
Just want to give you guys those flowers, man.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Keep
We
going.
appreciate
so
that.
much.
And,
Thank you so
um,
much.
This is like I said earlier, man. Like this is what I believe in.
Yeah.
You know, shows should be talent driven. They should be people driven. They should
Yeah.
be community driven.
Mhm.
If you have a passion to do it, the technology is out there. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
absolutely.
wait. You know what I'm saying? Like, just do it
Yeah.
and be consistent. And I see that's what y'all are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So hats off and shout out to y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you
That
so
means
much.
so
Keep
fucking
going.
much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't let nobody sway you guys.
Mhm.
Don't let data analytics, take over your thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it.
Man,
Thank you, thank
you already said it, but we do a, we do
Oh, you do?
we do a
Yeah.
segment
Oh,
on this
shit.
show called the Chef Special, where we let our guests kind of, share some game and some free advice for our viewers and shit. Man, you really can. You gave
Sorry
us
for
you
jumping
gave-
the gun.
You gave us a Chef Special. Now one for the viewers, please.
That's ours.
That one's
Oh, yeah,
ours.
yeah, that was for y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for us.
that's
That's
for
for us.
Yeah, man. It's the same thing, right? Just like don't let shit sway you. Don't let things change you too much.
Mm.
Change is good. Evolution's good. I'm not going to pretend like, that doesn't happen. You're not going to grow from
Right.
things.
Mhm.
You're not going to evolve and maybe change your mind on things. That's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You feel me? I just want to reiterate, man, like I can really truly say that all the ups and downs, whatever it was, I stayed true to myself and I really stayed myself
Yeah.
for good and bad, mistakes and not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it did not lead me astray. I'm here to say that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like
man.
I followed that. I always led first with that.
Mhm.
Even if it puts you in vulnerable places, even if some people want to say, no, you got to be like this in those situations.
Mm.
Nah,
Mm.
it's not true.
Absolutely.
Stay
'em,
stay
man.
true to what you think.
Tell
Yeah.
'em, man.
And that's it.
I love that. That was a great
Crazy.
follow-up chef
Please.
special that you guys can have.
That is for the viewers right there. The first one's ours.
That's right.
We're gonna keep
yourself.
going.
Yeah.
We're doing a great job.
But no, really, thank you for
No,
being
for
here and
reals,
just
man.
spreading
Thank you
that
so much.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is. We do this every weekend. It's always amazing to hear when we do have a guest. Like we want to use this platform to highlight the guest and do whatever we can. But
Always.
every time we have a closing segment, it always goes to where we are doing our part. And I have to keep realizing that every week that we are doing it. And we've been doing this for almost a year.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been able to build a team off of this, and not just a team, but also a community, because now every time you see us or hear anything about us, like we don't even go out that much, but people want to try and get connected
Yeah.
with us.
It's
Exactly.
changed for us. Yeah. So
It's
that's pretty
crazy.
awesome.
That's amazing.
yeah.
It's crazy.
But
man.
thank you once again, Mr. Erockalypze, DJ
Yes, sir.
Erockalypze.
Going crazy.
Actually,
Sure.
didn't get to ask you this earlier because we were we were as a DJ. What is your favorite album of all time?
Oh,
Tell him.
said the best for last.
Wow.
You heard it here
He's
first.
like, oh, I almost got away with this. Hold on.
It's like I got past
You
the
know,
sports.
I
question.
really, I can't say that.
Yeah.
really.
No, really, just the way I love music and just the way I kind of go in phases too, just personally
Mhm.
with listening, and just constantly like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard for me to pinpoint. I guess maybe how I could answer is like, what's one and why?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Let me say 2014 Forest Hills Drive, J.
Tell
Cole.
him.
Because I had this amazing experience where J. Cole flew out just like 10 program directors from across the country. I was thankfully one of them.
Wow.
He flew us out to New York. We were in this room where he literally was on a stool with his laptop, and we all got to just sit with him, and he explained from the very first track,
Wow.
played, would say what it was, the real story. Like he really went into what it was. Each one, played it, we vibed. Then he'd go to the next one and the whole album.
That's
And
crazy.
it was like
Dude.
one of many experiences that like still blows my mind to this day that I even got to be part of it. But it was also just like, yeah, it was that moment that like, I was like, oh shit. Like,
Damn.
That's hard.
this is a dope project.
We're big J. Cole fans too. Like I'm not
crazy.
even. I'm
And
not
think
even
about the
that-
year and just like what was
Yeah.
coming out that year.
Right.
I think like as more, right? Like look at like for who are watching, like look up what came out that year.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And then like understand also even more why I say that album.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Is it my favorite of all time? Nah, but it's a moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is
That's
another
amazing.
story
It's a
that you've been
real-
able
For
to.
sure, man.
Yes.
Real
crazy
moment.
experience.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine hearing first things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
Yo, when
I've
that
been like,
Santro
what?
baby, that Santro baby dropped for the first time
Going
ever.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God, that is a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
Man.
there we go. Hey, thank you for sharing that one. But that was a good
Yeah,
way to end it
that's a
because I was
crazy
like,
one.
the whole time I had it in my mind. I was like, I know like most of you guys won't answer this question because it's like they love music, right? And everything.
Yeah.
And everything about music. So it's not, they can't pinpoint one, but they always have a story behind a different album.
Yeah,
Right.
That's dope.
Always.
So
Yeah.
thank you
Love
for
that.
sharing that with
Shout
us.
out.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Yeah.
Erockalypse, thank you again, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming off the menu and blessing us, man. Blessing this mic.
I hope I get to come back one
We
day.
appreciate
Hey,
for
Yeah,
sure.
bro.
We're
I
gonna-
really just thought we were like meeting and hanging out. I didn't know this was actually a podcast. I didn't know we were recording
You can-
anything.
you can
I
be mine.
got forced into this room. There was mics in here. Nobody told me.
Got him, man.
he walked into the house like, where are we sitting? I'm like, oh, go in the corner.
They were like, he's a radio guy. Once he sees a mic, he'll be fine.
You can be my filler, man. I'm going on maternity leave, so you can come over here and
Deal.
you can fill in for me,
I
man.
got
That'd
you,
be
fam.
crazy.
I got you. Anytime you guys need a sub in. All right.
There we go.
We'll
There
just
we
put it
have
in the
it,
same
man.
hat, same glasses. Nobody will know. Nobody's gonna know.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yo, you got that in an extra medium
Yeah,
husky?
I got you.
That's what I need, bro. I
We
never
will.
miss my rice.
Hey, we,
you know what I'm
we
saying?
got something
Never
for
miss
you.
my
We got
rice.
something for you for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Thank you again, brother. Erockalypse off the menu, episode 60, going crazy for y'all. Thank you so much.
Peace out, y'all.
Roll out. DJ Erockalypse.
You 92.